All right, so let's talk about my software company. So I hope that that's helpful. We'll do a Q&A later if you guys have any questions. I may even jump on Discord or whatever way you guys want to ask questions. So as you guys know, about 4 or 5 months ago, I want to say 4 months ago, we revealed druglike.com. So this is an application that allows you to calculate the free energy of molecular ensembles. So I think there's this impression that it's only related to pharmaceuticals, and the name certainly lends itself to that. But you can use DrugLike on agricultural compounds, cosmetics, food, any molecular ensembles. Really all it is a calculator. It doesn't design a medicine for you or anything like that. This is something where you supply a compound, you supply another compound, and we calculate very quickly and for the first time on the web what the free energy of those two compounds are. So far, 2.5 million compounds have been screened over 787 campaigns. We haven't promoted DrugLike at all, so we have a sort of promotion campaign scheduled for next year. I did a 1 million compound screen on part 1, which is a cancer-related target, and so that was really cool. I have a screenshot of that there, 948,000 compounds with a lot of really good sort of hits. We are sort of expanding the software. This isn't meant to be a deep dive on DrugLike by any means, but the software is growing in its modularity and the ability to sort of change out sort of the drug or the molecular sort of screening engine that sort of analyzes the what's typically the drug and the protein, but could be anything. It could be an animal's protein, it could be a bacterial protein, etc. A viral protein, of course, as well. So being able to sort of switch out those tools and do sort of new things with different engines and different pipelines is something that I know my colleagues at DrugLike are working hard on sort of creating. So I think the general thesis of DrugLike, and it's going to go into sort of App 2 as well, is that the software that people use in this very sort of high-touch professional setting like computational chemistry is very sort of hard to use. And I wish I could show you some examples right now, but a lot of them are command line based. So a lot of them require you to sort of know how to be a sysadmin, know how to use Linux, know how to use really complex tools that the average chemist or the average, say, physicist or whatever doesn't know how to use. They're busy being a chemist or a physicist. They're busy writing papers. They don't want to configure systems. And now just using that software on your own PC is very difficult. There's a 100-page manual on a software that I use called NAMD, which is a molecular dynamics wizard. It's command line only, so it has to run in a terminal box. And the 100-page manual says that it runs in MS-DOS. Yeah, so good luck configuring that and getting it to work in a distributed system like a cloud system. So we took all that and we put it on the web. And I think what I want to do is do that for every single kind of professional software that's really difficult to use. It doesn't mean that command line should be abolished. You should be able to sort of pop into a command line if you're a power user, but you should also be able to access all the rich sort of computing environment that the web and distributed sort of Kubernetes, and sort of Dockerized clusters allow you to exploit. So again, doing a million molecule screen on the web was probably, most people think that would be impossible if they heard that. So this software uses MSI for payment. It also is going to be using Stripe shortly. So you can use a credit card if you're a corporate account, or you can use crypto. The crypto is half price roughly, so deep discount for crypto users. So that's kind of where I think a lot of companies should be sort of creating a token and using it as a monetization sort of platform. It's sort of another way to sort of get paid as a software provider. So I think Microsoft should have their own token, Adobe should have their own token. I think eventually that's probably what we're going to see, and to have these tokens sort of not be necessarily units of speculation, although they could be, but they're also units of value for that internal company's ecosystem. And I think that it's really a useful tool. It's a little, to me, like a stock option in a way that companies provide stock options to their employees. They're sort of it's sort of a secondary sort of tool for compensation, for equity. For example, Facebook once paid a graffiti artist shares of Facebook to spray paint the Facebook walls. And I think that's like a really good example of here's a young company, they're growing, they don't necessarily want to use cash, they have some cash, but they want to use that for their business, but they really want this graffiti spray painted on their wall, and so they paid the guy in Facebook stock, and I think he made $100 million holding onto his Facebook stock. So it's sort of a secondary unit of value that companies can use for a number of things, and for Drug-like, it has a number of values. It's MSI, it's an ERC20 token, and it's got a telegram and all that if you want to look into it. But ultimately, there are a number of ways that you can use MSI with Drug-like. The primary way we view is payments. Eventually, we hope to have a distributed compute network where you can earn MSI for computing, or you can pay MSI to have compute done. That's sort of a pretty classical way of thinking about sort of one of the values of crypto. So in any event, that was sort of 6 months ago. There's been a lot of good progress on the app. It works really well. But today sort of previewing App 2. So App 2 is a financial application. It was originally called Godel. So I worked on this app 5 or 6 years ago. It's a competitor to a company called Bloomberg. So basically it's a CLI, a command line interpreter. So it's Bloomberg. If you haven't used it, it's a very expensive piece of software. It's $25,000 a year, and the price is actually going up. It'll be more expensive than that soon. And it's sort of the standard for financial investors if you can afford it. About 400,000 people use the Bloomberg. Pretty much anybody who's anybody on Wall Street has a license to it. So ultimately, Bloomberg is a very valuable company, and it's a very valuable piece of software, but it hasn't really changed a lot in the last 5, 10, even 20 years. I've been a Bloomberg customer since I was a kid, and I basically started to create this app called Godel before I went to prison. So now that I'm out of prison, what's amazing about Godel is that it's still a best-in-class product in my view. And there's a free tier of Godel, which basically gives you access to what I believe is a substantial part of the Bloomberg totally for free, and on a web tool. So you just go to Godel's website and you can use a Bloomberg tool basically for free. Now we do have a payment model, and it's sort of a different payment model than Bloomberg. Bloomberg has this weird all-you-can-eat model where you pay one price, which, like I said, is around $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and you get all the services, whether you use it or not. So a person that's just using Bloomberg for messaging, and I know a lot of people that's all they do, still pays the same price as a person that's running their entire hedge fund on Bloomberg. And to me, that's a really wild sort of dichotomy. So in any event, our model is more of an AWS model where there's a free tier. If you use the service a lot, you get a big bill. If you don't use the service much, you get a small bill, and you can use the service pretty liberally for free. So if you use really advanced features like quantitative features or bond research or something like that, you will get a bill similar to the Bloomberg bill. But if you're just looking at stock prices and fiddling around and you're sort of an amateur investor, I think that you should be able to get a tool like this for free. And so that's sort of our vision. So in any event, I'm restarting the development of that app. We should have a beta open relatively soon. There is an alpha sort of site up right now. I've been hacking away at it with some of my colleagues over the last few weeks. If you've been wondering where I was, that's basically what I've been up to. So for MSI, I think the application is the same. If you have a $1,000 or $500 or $20 bill on Godel, you can pay using MSI and get a steep discount. If you create content for MSI, and I think that's a big part of what Bloomberg is missing, is a social media sort of aspect. We don't want to turn sort of Bloomberg into Facebook. I think that would be a mistake. But I do think that a big part of why Wall Street Bets, for example, was successful, or other parts of sort of FinTwit and things like that, is that people do want to create content for financial markets. Financial markets are complete with or I should say financial markets are full of people who are offering opinions and creating content, whether they're charts or other forms of content, including subscription-based models and stuff like that. So if you create content on Twitter, you don't get paid anything. And I could see a vision where you could create content for on Godel and get MSI tokens as a result. You could also pay MSI tokens to get content. So again, the primary goal here would be that you can pay your bill for the tool with MSI. So in any event, I think this will be a really important app. I think you guys know that I know financial markets really well. I know financial software really well. This is my world. So for me to unleash a competitor at Bloomberg is a really big moment. I do think it'll take years to effectively compete with Bloomberg. It's not a company that is easy to compete with. They've been around a really long time. I think a lot of the mistakes that other companies have made trying to compete with Bloomberg is that they don't match the CLI. I think that I'm specifically focused on replicating in a lot of ways the CLI nature of Bloomberg, and so we've done that with sort of a synthetic CLI based on the web. So I think that that CLI tool allows any user to really learn it quickly. It's sort of a light CLI. It's not like Linux. It's a much friendlier command line. And so I think that that's basically sort of the key. I think there are a lot of competitors trying to do web apps for financial information, but that's not what people want. People on Wall Street want productivity, and they want to climb up the curve really quickly. And if you look at the other competitors out there in financial apps, they're really bad because they're not built by people who have been traders or investors. They don't understand the importance. I was on a rival site the other day, and they had literally no news function whatsoever. News is, for example, one of the most pivotal and important pieces for any financial investor. So I understand the space better than anyone. I understand it better than people at Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg was a trader a long time ago, and so it made sense for him to build Bloomberg. For me, it makes a lot of sense to build an app that I would use myself to trade or invest with. So I hope you follow me on the Godel journey. I'll be talking a lot about it. I'll be using the software, and again, I'll be ready to sort of show it to you in hopefully a week or two. That's really it. Thank you so much for listening. If there's any questions, I'll start to take them now.